Welcome back. You're still watching SA Today. The Minister of Arts and Culture, Nathi Mthethwa, says that a process is underway to have the area of the Bo-Kaap in the heart of Cape Town declared a national heritage site. Now, community members have been fighting for some time now to stop what's been called the gentrification by property developers from building apartment blocks in the area. The Bo-Kaap is the historical centre of Cape Malay culture in Cape Town, and it's also, amongst others, the birthplace of Islam in South Africa. The area is home to generations of families dating as far back as the slave era. Minister Mthethwa says that the long-term goal is to have the area declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Well, the Bo-Kaap in Cape Town, as I said, is a precious part of our heritage, originally built around the 18th century as the houses for artisans who built the town there became our city. It's become home to Muslim political exiles from Java, from Ceylon, and after 1834 to liberated slaves. Well, to tell us a little bit more about this, I'm now joined from Cape Town by Jacky Poking. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the program. So you must be, as a community, delighted with the move by the Minister of Arts and Culture.
Yes, thank you so much, Peter. We are very, very delighted, very happy. It's for us, it's our dream, one of our dreams, almost being realized. So we're very happy with his visit and his announcements. It's all that the people of Bo-Kaap has been fighting for a very long time.
All right, we'll talk about the area and its history a bit more just now, but perhaps take us through the journey in terms of the fight to ward off these property developers, because I guess in recent years land has been running out in terms of development, and also its proximity to the city centre and obviously the V&A waterfront just made it a prime target, didn't it?
It did. Bo-Kaap, we still have land, and in terms of prices, if you compare to, say, Camps Bay to develop there, or even to Sea Point, comparatively speaking, our land and our prices are then cheaper. And yes, there's been this onslaught of developers or investors, speculative investors, wanting to make use of Bo-Kaap's proximity to the city centre to build apartment blocks for professionals and or investment opportunities for people, without considering the fact that it is being built in a historical area that's rich in culture and traditions, and therefore basically gentrifying our area and displacing our people. So there's this onslaught, and they're basically being very insensitive. There is very seldom any one of those developers that I think maybe did their proper research other than a return on their investment. I think that's the only research they seem to have done. They just do the basic heritage research only in terms of how they can benefit and nothing more. So the minister's announcement couldn't have come at a better time, yeah. It's
all right, so
fantastic.
Tell us a bit more about this area. What makes it a national heritage site in your view?
In my view, there are a couple of reasons. If you think of the fact that traditionally Bo-Kaap people were artisans, and you still find that as well. And as we say, we built the city. Our artisans were the ones who helped build the city of Cape Town. We also the people in terms of cuisine. A lot of the cuisine that is traditionally seen as South African cuisine had its birthplace in the Bo-Kaap. And then talk about languages. Afrikaans again as well had its birthplace in the Bo-Kaap. So Bo-Kaap is one of those areas where we have the oldest of everything, or it's the birthplace of this. I did a walkabout this morning, and every time I turned around, I used the words, oh, this is where this started, or this is where that started, or this is the oldest this, or this is the oldest that in Cape Town. And it almost sounds like we're bragging, but we're not. It's a fact that Bo-Kaap symbolizes so much of what is in South Africa, and a lot of people can trace all of that back to the Bo-Kaap, and I think a lot of families even, Peter, can trace their ancestry back to Bo-Kaap. Yeah. As we say in Bo-Kaap, everybody came from Bo-Kaap, and therefore Bo-Kaap should be important to everyone.
And that's what I wanted to ask you next, actually, is that this there's a lot of generations that have passed down houses and homes there, so that it's been in the family for a long, long time. So it really does give us a sense of a community that's been running for generations.
Yes, it has. We have at least third, fourth generation of people living in the homes that has been handed down by their ancestors to them. At our event today, and you would have seen Auntie Abdia da Costa, who's a sixth generation. She was born in her house in Dorp Street. She's 93 years old, and she was born there, and the house was handed to her. And she's the sixth generation of her family that lives in the house, besides the fact that she's also a direct descendant of Tuan Guru. And that is just one example of many of our people that you would run into, that intergenerationally the homes have been within families for so long they cannot imagine living anywhere else. It's a part and a way of life that is very typically Bo-Kaap.
So one of the things that strikes me every time I visit Cape Town is the colour and the cobbled streets. Tell us about that and why it's been able to endure for so long.
Well, the cobbled street, as much as everybody who drives hates the fact that they have to go up this cobbled street, we as residents are like, those are our cobbled streets, and we love them. They heritage and do not touch them. And they've been there since the guys were riding around on horse and cart. I actually don't know how they managed that on a horse and cart on those cobbled streets, but somehow they did. And with regards to the colorful houses, there are lots of oral history around it. The story that I like to tell and that I love to think is one of the right ones is that with the dawn of democracy, when people started owning their homes, it was a way of showing ownership, showing individuality, that this is my home, I own it, and pride in being a homeowner and living in Bo-Kaap. And because before that, during apartheid times, the houses weren't colorful. They were sort of the white, off-white kind of color. So the colorful houses is in recent history. It's not way past. I know some people talk about 200 years ago. That's not true. It is in our recent past, and it is about showing individuality, ownership and pride.
All right, so prior to approaching the Minister of Arts and Culture, who were you taking your fight to? We, on two different fronts, Peter. We, at first, quite a few years ago, about 2013, 2014, we were advised that the heritage protection overlay would be one of the best ways to ensure that we can protect our area. And the process then started back then. We then took it to the City Council. And in terms of the City Council, we then took it to the Mayor. And we did that process. Unfortunately, as you know, it sat on the Mayor's desk for quite a while. Then we also took it early on in the beginning of the year, we took it to Heritage Western Cape for provincial status. And unfortunately, we didn't get very far in that process. So that's why when the President spoke about National Living Heritage, and then of course the Minister, we were very happy that somebody heard us and that they're doing whatever they can to help us. All right, I'm going to ask you this question because I think there are other areas in the country that perhaps are fighting the same fight. Do you think that there's a lot of lobbying and a lot of economic pressure that's being brought to bear on maybe local authorities, municipalities, to sell off these heritage sites?
I think so. Money does talk. That in terms of investment opportunities, the City of Cape Town wants to be a world-class city. They want to be a well-run city, and they want investors to come here. So money does talk, and we've seen it. And some of the decisions which we feel is questionable, why were those decisions taken? And the only conclusion we could come to is that it's the money that will go into the city coffers. That that's all that the city wants. It's the money that they make from the rates and taxes, and not so much the preserving our heritage for the people of Bo-Kaap and the rest of the country and the world.
All right, and then I suppose in the end, the Minister of Arts and Culture heard your cry. Tell us how those meetings went and how this decision finally came.
I'll go back to during Ramadan when the President was in Cape Town and attended one of the programs that was held, an iftar. and he had made the announcement that he supports the call for a living heritage for Bo-Kaap. And at the time, I guess we were very happy, but we were concerned that it's maybe just something that was said. And then, of course, we started hearing that the instructions following that is that the minister needs to take this up, and the minister in turn had instructed people within his office to reach out to us and set up the meetings and find out where we are in the process, how they can help, and what kind of help we need. So there were some meetings that had taken place. Some of them were not necessarily meetings, but calls and emails, and they were quite open and very accommodating in terms of us reaching out to them and telling them our limitations as well. We're a community, and we've been at the forefront of this fight, and we're volunteers, just in case people didn't know. And so at times our capacity was stretched to the limit. So the minister and his team has come on board in helping alleviate that, getting his staff to also help us and put all this together. So there were only one meeting with the minister, and then we had a brief meeting with the DDG to talk about various other challenges. And then, of course, he at the time had said he was coming to Bo-Kaap today. And so he kept his word, and he arrived today, and he made this wonderful announcement. So we're quite happy with that.
All right, fantastic news. And perhaps one final question, just how big a community are we talking about here? How many houses, how many people make up Bo-Kaap?
I know in the last census there was, I think, about 1,100 homes or households, because we have flats as well, but we also have overcrowding. And there's informal settlements as well in Bo-Kaap. And if we look at an average of at least 6 people per home, so you look at about between 7 and I would say 8 to 9,000 people, if not more, because of the overcrowding. And as we know with census, they don't normally get everybody. So I would speculate that we're about between 7, 8 or 9,000 people in Bo-Kaap.
Well, I'm sure everybody's...
Quite a small area, actually.
Yes, but wealth preserving. And next time I'm in Cape Town, I'm certainly going to take a turn there, because it's now a very important site. And with a bit of luck, perhaps it'll become a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well.
Oh, that would be fantastic. And Peter, you're very welcome to visit us. Give us a call, and we'll make sure that you get to meet everybody. Well, not everybody, not all 7,000, but just some.
Thanks so much, Jackie. Well done. Thank you very much. All right, so that was a very happy Jacky Poking, who's the secretary of the Bo-Kaap Civic and Ratepayers Association. Delighted with the news that their area has is going to be declared a National Heritage Site, and perhaps, who knows, in the future could even get UN status. So the developers, I'm afraid, they've put a brake on developments there, and it's going to stay as it is. Colourful, cobbled streets and all. We're going to take a break. More after this.